Margaret Thatcher, and it proclaimed that all Scots in general, as a people, took offence to her, didn't like her in general, because we blamed her for all of the problems that we went through at that time. We blamed her for the depression that started before she came into power. One of the outside, so I don't know if you can hear that. The quality on this mic's really bad, but it is like whistling through the window. Anyway, I want to disillusion that, because we don't actually think that Margaret Thatcher caused all the problems. We just don't think that she had the correct solutions. Privatisation, free markets, all that kind of stuff is stuff that Americans believe in. And I can only say that it has produced the wealth gap that you see in America now. And that's what the Scots took anguish against. They don't want that kind of class segregation. In Britain, I think it was Reginald D. Hunter, I remember watching his comedy live show that he did. I think it's the only DVD he's done, and he says, you guys, you're not racist, you have a way to discriminate against people who are the same colour as you. It's called a class war. And he's totally right, that in Britain it is this kind of idea that we don't hate people of different races, we hate people who have more money than us, or like, in the same way the propaganda in the media now is more to do with hating people that are unemployed, because they choose to be unemployed, apparently. Again, see my last video, and we know how I feel about that. So it's always this kind of hate of people who don't work, or it's hate of people who get paid too much for the work that they do, and the sympathy for the people who get paid too little for doing just as much as someone who, say, like an intellectual gets paid more for doing less hours of work. It's more sore on the brain, but it's not more sore on the body, kind of thing. So we have a lot of sympathy for labourers and stuff like that. There's a lot of, as my flatmate once said, the pride of the working person. There's a lot of respect for working people. She said that in India, that's not really a thing. They have a proper class system, and they have like a proper kind of segregation, and there's no respect for the general workers. It's okay to treat them badly, or it is seen by society as okay to treat them badly, and that's what she liked when she came here, was that if you were a working person, even though she was born into a higher class in India, so she would never get treated like that there, she was glad that because she had to work here, there was respect for her work here. And she said, you know, my mum always told me to be nice to the people that worked in her house and that cleaned her house and things like that. And I kind of, you know, really championed her mum, an Indian woman raised in a good class, a privileged class, and she still thought, you know, to treat the workers right. So it's really a fundamental humanism. Strange how individuals can think these great humanitarian things and be really caring, and then when we act like a mob, all of a sudden there's all this propaganda and hate for people that are seen as either too privileged, or people that are seen as not working hard enough, or it's just strange that on an individual level we would be nice, but that as soon as we get together, all of a sudden it completely changes. You know, it's that kind of like super organism behaviour. It's weird. You know, cast out the weak type thing. But yeah, back to Margaret Thatcher. I want to disillusion people. Scots don't hate Margaret Thatcher. They just don't like her ideology and the stuff that she believed in. So of course they're going to be at odds with her. Yes, they blame her for a lot of the stuff that happened afterwards, but everyone does. I mean, she got rid of a big part of our industry. Even my gran now really misses the factories that she worked in, misses the fact that there were miners and stuff like that, because her dad was a miner. And she misses that kind of stuff, but at the same time I don't think that keeping us in that kind of industrious position would have helped. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing that it's gone. At the same time, the way she did it was literally like taking the rug from under you. There was no slow development to a better way of, you know, a more skilled class. It was just all of a sudden, get a job or that's it, you suck. And the funny thing is, it was to save money, and that I get. The part where it's to, you know, the mining industry was having to be supplemented by the government. I get that that's not great because that's our money, that's our tax money. And it's kind of like you're getting paid to pay taxes to get paid, which is, yeah, so she broke that loophole, which is kind of good of her really, but at the same time she then spent lots of money on wars that we didn't need to be in. It's kind of like you're trying to save money but you're doing something stupid, kind of. So it was just this kind of, you know, disbelief and this dislike of her fundamentals. And I have to say it's prevalent today again because conservatives are in power, as I said before. And we have this, we don't hate David Cameron, we just don't like that way of thinking. We don't like the way of thinking that people who are unemployed is their own fault, and we don't like the way of thinking that you're not supposed to help each other out. We're all interdependent, and the whole point of being a society is that you work together to improve. And when you segregate it into kind of like a checklist of you have to achieve this, or you aren't part of our society, it's not fair. And that's essentially what it's like now. It's like if you don't have a job, if you don't have a skilled job as well, like I remember I've got this really good friend of mine who, for all we're good friends, the reason we're such good friends is because we had a conversation one day. We just sat down, we were at lunch, and it was just the two of us, and we ended up having a political debate. Like, I never thought that he was interested in politics and stuff, but we started talking about it. It turns out he's conservative, and we're such good friends because we can talk about it. Whereas I can't talk about it with a lot of other people that I know. At the same time, he's like got the utter opposite position. And we were talking one day recently, and he talked about like getting rid of the minimum wage, and I was like, why would you get rid of minimum wage? If it's a living wage, that means that people can survive. And he's like, yeah, but there's people like you and me who are students. We could get paid less. And I said, no, if I got paid less, I wouldn't go to uni. I wouldn't be able to go to uni. I'd have to work more, so I would never get a skilled job. I'd be stuck. Not, you know, because I'd be impoverished. And I'm close to poverty right now, and there's been periods during time after I moved out, where I have been. I've literally had no food for like a week, and you know, he just kind of went, oh well, but the thing is, companies would do better if they could decide what wages to give people. I said, the whole point is that they would screw you over. And he said, no, people wouldn't do that. And it's the fundamental. It's this, he knows that people are good on an individual level, but he doesn't realise that if they didn't know the like if the top of the company doesn't actually feel the individuals below them, feel their feelings or understand them, they're going to screw them over, because to them they're just numbers, they're not people right in front of them. He knows that if people meet people, we're good to each other. So he just presumes that it's going to be good, and it's like, no, that's not how it works. It's the mob mentality. We go into that like zone. That's why we have regulations. It's so that when, you know, when logic takes over too far, when it goes too much, another kind of humanitarian logic can take over and go, remember, you're supposed to be good and human and things, and we're working together. That's kind of what it says, is we're working together, remember, and it's kind of what it's supposed to be about. So yeah, to all the people that, like, after Margaret Thatcher died, said that like she's either good or she's bad. She's a human being just like the rest of us, and no, Scots don't hate her on principle. It's her, they hate her ideology. So yeah, it's funny because Scottish people are seen as this nation that fights for freedom because of the whole William Wallace thing, and it is true. But our sense of freedom has nothing to do with being free of each other. It's all to do with being free to be together, and safely, without hurting each other or without anyone, struggling. It's a different idea of what freedom should be. Whereas in America, freedom should be you have no ties to anyone or anything. Freedom has nothing to do with that, really, to us. It's just different. So yeah, we're all interdependent, and that's why we don't like Margaret Thatcher and her way of thinking, because she doesn't believe people should be interdependent. Privatization and all that kind of stuff. Which is funny because even that works as interdependence, but it works as interdependence that's unchallenged and unfettered by societal rules and culture, which is, yeah. Anyway.